Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Annindita Palaus. If this is your first time in my channel, then remember to hit the subscribe button so we can be YouTube friends and you get notified of my upcoming videos. Today I have a very special guest, and I am a huge believer in synchronicities, and the way I met her is really through synchronicity. Um, so, long story short, Robert Monroe's programs had been on my vision board for years, but for whatever reason, I was just not pulled enough. And for some strange reason, last year I started reading Robert Monroe's books. And once I was done reading his books, I was really inspired to go to the Monroe Institute for one of his programs. But it was not possible immediately because I already had a lot of plans. So the next possible option was to start looking for some meetup groups. And I started looking for Monroe Institute meetup groups, and that's how I ended up meeting Yafi, who is our guest today. And interestingly enough, Yafi had just moved to Wellington last year around that time. It was probably July or August. And she was also looking to start her new Monroe meditation groups. And that's how we happened to connect. And since then, I have been going to her monthly meditation groups. And over the months, I have been really inspired by her work and really intrigued by her work. Not only her work as a clinical psychologist, but also her work into the exploration of consciousness, which I'm personally deeply involved in and passionate about. And I am really excited to have her on my channel today and interested in this interview. So thank you so much, Yafi, for being here, for your time and energy.
Hello, my friend. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Me too, I'm really excited. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about your practice as a clinical psychologist and how that evolved into what you currently do today with your channeling work and hypnosis and light language and yeah, everything.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I got a doctorate in clinical psychology, thinking I'm going to be a mainstream psychologist, but my higher self had different plans for me. And one of my gateway of merging the clinical world and spirituality, and even more leaning towards the spiritual path, was through hypnosis. So even during my internship, so even before I graduated, I was trained in hypnosis and I found that fascinating. And right at the same time as I was trained in clinical hypnosis, I also discovered the work of Brian Weiss and past life regression. And I was also discovering my own spiritual path and my interest and my own belief. I had to really open my mind and expand my mind from being so left-brained trained um, as a clinician, as a psychologist. So hypnosis was my first gateway of bringing spirituality into my practice. And I pretty quickly realized that the spiritual work and the exploration of consciousness is so much more interesting than traditional psychology. And also in my personal path, I have been developing my psychic ability and my intuition and my connection to spirit. And that just became such a big part of my life that I could no longer separate my work and my life. The path has become one of the same. And so I started offering energy work and psychic readings, and it just kept on progressing and progressing. And about 4 years ago, approximately, I started doing some channeling and taking it more seriously. And to my surprise, because I really didn't expect that, that became the main focus of my life and my career. So I have gone this huge spectrum from coming from a left brain, rational, clinical world to more spiritual, more spiritual, more spiritual, to where I am now, which is a complete, depending on who you ask, of course, but a complete woo-woo world, all spiritual, all consciousness, and of course, all wellness, because the ones of us that do not just see it as woo-woo know that that is a direct connection to wellness and health
Right.
and being a balanced and a whole person.
Awesome. And tell us a little bit about your light language, the work that you've been doing with light language activation. Is that what it is correctly called? And What
Yeah,
is
people love the word activation.
yeah. So
There are different words that come up in the culture, and activation is like very popular
right.
now. It's not a word that I use much actually, but yeah, so light language. So the way I see it, light language is a form of channeling, but it's non-verbal channeling. So if you go back to the right brain, left brain conversation, it's really moving away even more from the left brain having to know what's being said, being able to understand and having that anchor. And it's full blown about feeling the energy, feeling the flow, feeling the transmission. I like the word transmission, but you can say that it's activation. I also like the word blessing, especially if you listen to one transmission or if you're doing on one, you can see it as an energy attunement. And
Mm.
that's probably how they would like to describe it. And I also see it as a blessing. It's almost like being blessed by these beautiful, loving entities. So I mainly work with Hathor and Isis. I have other guides, but they are the main entities that I channel. And with the light language, they basically create different sounds and sometimes spoken language that's not English, it's not understandable to us with our regular faculties. And this energy basically interacts with your field and weaves around your spine in different ways and opens different chakras. And usually there's an aspect of grounding as well. So it's kind of energetic work that's done through sound. And today we call it light language.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Would you be open to giving the audience a little demonstration, maybe a few minutes, so
Yeah,
people watching
absolutely.
the video can also experience what you're talking about? And just so we know, there is an option to have one-on-one sessions with you for light language blessings or transmission, like you were calling it.
Yeah. I usually call them energy flow sessions, and they can be done with or without light language. So if light language is too much for you, too out there, or you're just uncomfortable with it in any way, well, that's not a problem. I've been doing energy sessions way before I've been practicing light language. So that can be kind of an added really cool element. Or if you just want the energy sessions, of course, we can do that too. And I do many other individual sessions, but this is one option.
Okay, great. Sure, we would love
Would
to.
like to do the light
Yeah,
language right now? Okay,
totally.
wow, so quick. Sure. So let me give you a little bit of explanation. So when you hear the words, kind of like spoken words, from my experience, that's usually Isis who does that. So that's Isis light language, I guess. And that's how she speaks. And when she speaks, I used to be more visual about it. So she used to show me how the words actually weave around the spine. It's almost like this beautiful white light weaves around the spine and does all kind of different things. And the sounds, which are more like toning or tuning, are usually Hathor. And Hathor can be seen as a she or a they, them, Hathor, the Hathors. Different people relate to it differently. I feel it is a very feminine energy. So usually say she. So the sounds, the weird sounds, are usually Hathor. And they work together. And the weird sounds work with your field, usually in a more robust way. So to amplify your field, your energetic field, like I said, is sometimes specific chakras, a lot about heart energy. So the Hathor energy is more um, robust, is a really good word for it. Even though it's the first time I'm using it, it feels really on point. And Isis is more little movements.
Hmm, interesting.
And what's great about the light language that often people can feel it, even people that say, "Oh, I never feel anything. I've done Reiki so many times and I never feel anything," or "I've listened to channeling and I never feel the energy." Well, with the light language, especially this light language, I've learned that people almost always feel it, even people that usually do not feel anything. So it's really nice for people to have that experience, to feel the energy in a visceral way.
Right.
So
Totally.
I invite whoever listens to close their eyes and kind of go inward. You don't have to. You can have your eyes open. You can look at me. Sometimes I do weird things with my hands. But I invite generally people to close their eyes so they can kind of go inward and feel the energy and the frequencies that are coming through.
Hukoreama henai rohomana Huromeyena harani Umarene yakarani aturustunu namaya Hukareani hira hamanaya Uema hira hiani katariyama Nuri haya kerati hiena Kukaraniata rastiana kuturuma hek arianita harahama hom Kurusteania hakaria muhuma hatikariata tana hakiro homania
You have such a beautiful voice. It sounded like celestial. And just by listening to it, I felt like this feeling of expansion and joy. It was amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually didn't know that when I started channeling. When I started channeling, I never heard of Hathor before. So I had no concept of who or what it was. And even after I started learning, I pretty much knew she was a goddess in ancient Egypt. And sometimes she was symbolized as a cow. It's literally the only thing that I knew. And slowly over the years, my knowledge has become deeper, both from what I'm getting internally, mostly from what I'm getting internally and what I'm feeling and the information that comes through the channeling, but also little validations from outside. And so something that I've learned about Hathor, that the reason that she's seen depicted as a cow is because she's the archetypal mother. She's the mother to everyone. She nursed with her milk all the gods. That's the myth, the mythology. So she's the archetypal mother of the gods and of the people. So she's a very loving, nurturing essence. And more recently, I've learned that she's the goddess of music and dance. So
Wow.
anything that, and of the voice. So anything that has to do with the voice and with movements and connecting to music in that way is actually related to the Hathor essence.
Interesting. So, were you a trained singer or were you into singing before you started light language transmissions? Or does one have to be like have some kind of musical background?
No, you don't have to have any musical background. So I do from a long time ago. So when I was in high school, we're talking that long ago, I doubled major. I grew up in Israel and we had majors in high school. So I doubled majors in biology and in music.
Oh.
So me, even today.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I always had kind of that both sides. So back then I was trained in music and I performed some singing, but it's been many, many, many years since I've done any singing in that way. But now it makes sense how it's integrated with the work that I do.
Yes, totally.
But it's also something that I teach. So one of my favorite things to teach is light language because I see it as a combination of two things. One, it's really training of channeling. So you're learning how to be a clear vessel and how to stay in the flow, stay in that zone, and how not to be in the way and allow whatever needs to come up, and how to make sure that you're of the highest frequency. So that's one part of it. And the second part is expressing it with your voice. So you don't have to have any training in singing or anything like that, but you do become used to, accustomed to hearing your voice in that way and using your voice in that way. And you don't have to be a singer. Every voice sounds different. And this is not really singing, although it can sound like singing. So it can be just the language, just the words, right? Or it can be just tones. It can be just e's and oohs and stuff like that. So you definitely don't have to be a singer. It's more about allowing in that way, but also being able to connect to your voice in that way.
Awesome, because that was my next question actually, and you just answered it. I was wondering if you only do the transmissions or do you even teach? So it seems like you actually do teach light language. So
Yes.
And do you teach them in person or online if people want to sign up? Can they do
Yeah, I
Zoom?
do. Everything today is on Zoom.
Oh, that's great.
When I started, everything was in person, and I was really resistant to moving virtually. It took me a long time. My clients forced me, basically. But now I'm so used to it, and I appreciate the convenience and the reach. I
Right.
can talk to you just like this, wherever you are. Like you can talk to Niket in India, just like this.
Right.
It's magic. It's amazing. So
So,
yes, I teach on Zoom. My sessions is on Zoom. Everything is on Zoom. Practically, the only thing that happens in person is the meditation group that you come to. That's pretty much the only thing nowadays that happens in person. Everything else is online.
that's amazing because that's definitely very, good for viewers too, because they are from all parts of the country and yeah, they might not always be able to make it in person. And I feel like with the pandemic, that was one thing that people definitely made a move towards. Because previously, when I started teaching Reiki online through webinars, there was some people who were a little resistant to the idea of doing that. But then when the pandemic hit and everything went online, then things just shifted and people's mindset shifted, which is great.
Exactly. Yeah, that's when it happened to me too. And like I said, I was a little stubborn. I was a little resistant. I didn't want that change to happen. I didn't want online interaction to replace in-person interactions.
Right.
And of course, you need to have some in-person contact. It's important for human nature,
Right.
for human psychology. But at the most part, yes, they did replace
Yeah.
in-person interaction. But again, there's magic in it. There's opportunity and freedom in it. So it's wonderful.
Right. Awesome. And they can just go to your website,
Yes.
yafichanneling.com, to find out more about your upcoming events and workshops with light language.
Yes, absolutely. So every Sunday, yes, you can find all the information on yafichanneling.com. It's all there.
I'll
So
have
every
the
Sunday,
the description below as well.
thank you. So every Sunday, I have a channeling group where I channel and people just listen and ask the guides question, usually Hathor, though others come through occasionally. We just had the Yael pop in, and the Arcturians and Zetas have been participating in some way. So there's all kind of madness and party going on. But the
Sounds like a
main
fun party.
yes, it's a fun party for sure. But the main entity is Hathor, and with the light language, Isis as well. And I do that every Sunday. And, when I started, I had several people from Florida, which is where you and I are from. But right now, even the Floridians moved away. And thinking about it, it's so lucky that I'm on Zoom because everybody in my group is from somewhere, either across the United States or across the world.
That's pretty awesome to think about that. The world has become a smaller place.
Yes, exactly.
And tell us a little bit about your latest book. Your second book just got published, Conversations with Hathor. So,
Yes, you can see it in the back. I can show you a closer, beautiful. The publisher did such a beautiful job. It's such a beautiful book. I'm so proud of it. This is an original painting from Europe. So yes, so Conversations with Hathor. My first book, I'll just mention it, but I won't talk about it too much, is Conversations with the Earth. And my most recent book, Conversations with Hathor, is, first of all, it's all channeled. Both books are. It's all channeled material. There's a little bit of input for me and some comments for me, but mostly channeled. And Conversations with Hathor focuses on Hathor and the messages coming from her, from them, to me and my group members who are the ones asking the questions, to humanity as a whole, about the different energy patterns that we are going through. We're going through such intense times right now. So in this book, you have about Hathor, about them and their nature and their interaction with humanity over not only today, but we know the name Hathor from ancient Egypt, and their connection to humanity started even before that. So some of that is in the book. And like I said, a lot of questions of what we're going through right now. So the book is mostly from my Sunday group where I channel every week, and from different conferences and events where I channel. So this is where the material is coming from. So it's very practical. It's what people want to know about, whether it's energetic patterns or what's going on in their life right now, and how that's related to everything. And the book kind of ends, spoiler alert, I suppose, with the topic of contact, and specifically physical contact, where Hathor announced through me. I was channeling, I was actually doing a conference, an event, so it was public, not in the comfort zone of my little group. And all of a sudden they mentioned that they are once again in the physical on Earth.
Wow.
I'm like, wow, what? Am I going to meet you? What's going on? So that's kind of the cliffhanger in this book, which I guess the next book is going to go even more deeply into that, of them being here and the interaction with humanity on a more physical level. And that's how that is going to unfold in the next few years, which I can't wait to see what's going to happen and how that's going to unfold.
Totally. That sounds exciting. So there is another book in the coming.
Oh yeah, there are many books. There will be many books.
Yeah. And where can people buy your book? It's on Amazon?
It's on Amazon. You also have, of course, a link from my website. But on Amazon, it's available both in ebook and audiobook, which I narrate. So it's my voice. It's the closest you can get to being present in the channeling. And there's also a hard copy, like you see here, that either Amazon or my publishers have. But again, you can find all the links on my website, or you can go to Amazon and Google Conversations with the Earth, or Google or in Amazon Conversations with the Earth, Dr. Yafi, that should come up.
Okay, and I will put the link in the description as well.
Thank you.
So, and I was wondering if you would be willing to do a little channeling session for our audience, and maybe, whatever you receive for the month of April or whatever, whatever comes through.
Well, when I channel, Yafi is in the background. So that means you, Annie, is going to have to lead the conversation and interact with Hathor.
Okay.
So whatever you want to ask, that is fine. But it will be up to you. That's the difference between readings and channeling that I offer in general. So when I do readings, I'm very present. I'm talking like I'm talking with you. So you can ask me and it's my interpretation and it's this kind of back and forth. But when I channel, I really do take the back seat and my awareness is there, but it's slightly reduced. My association with the body is somewhat there, but reduced. And although I could technically stop the channeling or stop the flow or interfere with the flow in any way at any time if I choose to, but the process of the channeling is not to, meaning that if I have an opinion or if I have a question and they deem it not important, they're going to ignore me. And so you're the one really leading the conversation and interacting with them in that way.
Okay. That sounds good. If you're
Okay.
up for it. Yes.
Absolutely. Let's do it. So I'm pretty quick. I'm just going to go inward and Hathor will lead the way and she may have an intro. Usually there is some kind of an intro, or she may just say, I'm happy to be here. Go ahead, ask your questions. So we'll have to see what they have in mind.
Sounds good.
All right. Blessings.
Thank you.
It is our pleasure to be here with you in this space. We can feel the newness of this connection, which includes you, since we feel this is the first time you're in the presence of this channeling, but also for people that are going to tune in to the conversation and are going to hear it at a later stage. We feel there's new energy, newcomers entering the conversation, and that is always good and exciting. As you know, these are times on your planet, times for humanity, where a lot is changing. You can feel that tension of change as it envelops humanity. Now, from our perspective, it is a time of unity, of connection, of humans coming together and growing together, choosing consciousness, wakefulness over sleep, over the kind of sleep that comes with automation of walking the walk without paying attention, without choosing your next steps out of a place of passion and desire. Many people on your planet are still used to choosing, making decisions that are coming out of lack or coming out of fear. They feel like that's what they have to do for survival, or that is what they have to do because that's what the system is telling them to do. However, this is changing, and it is a welcome and exciting change in your world today. And we will also add here that a part of this change is people acting up. So if you think about a small child, a toddler that first gains
his or her autonomy. They are little devils. They're hard to control. They want to do everything by themselves, even if it's things that they have no ability to do by themselves. They want to participate in situations and conversations they cannot comprehend. They want to say no to everything. Anyone that has children or spent some time around small children is well familiar with the phenomena we are describing. This, you may say, is what's happening to humanity right now. So as people are waking up and as people begin to claim their autonomy, you're going to see a lot of acting up behaviors. Things that people did not dare to do before, now they dare to do. And some of it seems harmful. Some of it seems even violent or aggressive. However, it is merely a part of the growing pain of waking up into your autonomy as people and waking up into your true nature as such a powerful creator.
Oh, that was amazing message. It totally makes sense. Thank you so much.
It is our pleasure.
And I feel like that message kind of answered the question that I had in my mind, but I will ask it out anyways if you have anything additional to add on to it. I don't know how many people are going to watch this video, what stage of life they would be at when they would be watching it, but to all the viewers out there, what would be your single most important message to keep in mind for the times which are coming, or in general, as a guiding post in life in general to navigate life?
Yes, of course, we could take it in many different directions. We could fill a whole book just on answering this question. But what we do want to bring up and add is that one of the most important things to remember, also in terms of it's also a practical thing to do in addition to remembering, is to honor yourself. And that's for each and every individual that is listening and is hearing it. You must honor your own emotions, your own constitution. You must honor the inner voice that is speaking to you, that is expressing wants from the higher self, directions and guidance from your own higher inner self. So honoring yourself with everything that comes with it is extremely important. Even that we could take in different directions, but we will pause here and let you lead the conversation.
Thank you. And what I would love to have some more clarity about is about how does honoring yourself look like? Because sometimes I've seen that people have a whole lot of ideas and beliefs about that. The idea of honoring oneself, self-love. Sometimes people show going on a shopping spree in the name of self-love when it actually doesn't really do much for self-love. And even when it comes to honoring yourself, sometimes people can just, take it as an ego trip that my ideas, my wants, my needs, my desires are more important than yours. It's me. So how does it actually look like from that holistic perspective that you're talking about?
Yes, so honoring yourself is actually a very gentle notion and activities. So we mentioned emotions, honor your own emotions. So an example is you may feel tired at certain times of the month as you are becoming more and more in tune with different celestial stages. So even the shifts of the moon are going to have more impact on your body now than they had in the past. So if you're feeling tired, if you're feeling cranky, you must then learn how to honor yourself and be gentle with yourself so you do not go into being angry with the self, being impatient with the self, which are all natural, but bringing awareness into the situation can allow you greater flexibility with the way you treat yourself and how understanding and compassionate you're being with yourself. This is one important aspect of honoring yourself. Now, let us take your example. You mentioned going shopping. And there's nothing wrong with going shopping, of course, but we feel in your question that this activity in that example is used as a distraction from the state of the self. And here, honoring yourself also means staying with whatever comes up to the surface without seeking distractions, without employing avoidance. So if you feel icky and if you feel things are off, one, do not try to come up with stories about it because the stories are rarely accurate or helpful. That's a part of honoring the emotion, not attaching meaning to it, not attaching stories to it. And two, allowing it. And it sounds simple, but as humans, there is a very quick response to anything that is unpleasant. So when unpleasant states come up within and without in your environment, there is an immediate need to avoid, immediate inclination to distract is actually a really good word here, to go to something else. So it can be projecting it onto others, or it can be engaging in activities of consumption, whether it's food, TV, or shopping. So honoring yourself the way we intend it means giving yourself space to be and to become. We mentioned these are intense times of intense, rapid changes. You must then be your own caregiver. You must tend to your body, to your mind, to your emotions, and make sure they are well. And by well, it does not mean always good and positive and smiley, although hopefully enough of the time so you remember the joy in living, but it means honoring yourself in whatever state comes up and allowing it to be, and allow it to be a part of the bigger picture.
Absolutely. And that brings me to the next question. And I totally understand your perspective about allowing. And that is where I'm currently at, about whatever emotions come up, just allowing them to be. And I have to mention this because not so long ago, when I just started, my spiritual journey, I started reading all these books on law of attraction, about positive thinking, and it almost makes it sound like if you're thinking negative thoughts or you are experiencing negative feelings, then you will get more of that in your life. And so a lot of people, when it comes to honoring their true emotions, they kind of want to deceive themselves into believing that the only emotions they feel are positive. And if there are any negative emotions, because negative emotions are bad, and if they are honoring them too much, that means they are just focusing on the negativity, and then more of that would come to them. So there's this uh, detachment or even this resistance towards feeling negative feelings or uncomfortable feeling. So
Absolutely.
how do you honor even the negative feelings without the fear that more of negative stuff would come in your mind because of, the law of attraction and how like attracts like, and whatever you
So,
focus on, you expand. So how do they go hand in hand?
yes. So first of all, we may want to dismantle our idea of what is positive and what is negative. So when we experience sadness or anger or whatever other emotions and states we previously thought of as negative, we may want to reframe it and realize that these are not negative. These are a part of the nature of the spectrum of emotions. However, if somebody hurts you, let's say, you can be emotionally hurt. However, if in addition to hurt, you spend minutes or hours or weeks or months planning revenge, now you're engaging in negative thinking, negative activity. So you must learn to separate, and you're really being called here to be experts on your own inner world, to know the difference when you are obsessing about something versus allowing something. And also, there is the matter of taking actions. And we will say here that if you have a bigger goal, a bigger purpose of acting in loving ways and being a balanced individual, from that perspective, it is not hard to understand that taking actions on these angry, sad, disappointing emotions is not going to be productive or conducive to your goal. So you would like to allow yourself to feel, be in the emotion, and once the emotion comes down, you can then introspect, maybe have more insight, maybe reach some conclusions, and yes, maybe even realize your next course of action. And that emotion can be a motivator. If you are hurt by someone, and the healthiest behavior is to distance yourself from that someone, that hurt, that sadness, that anger is going to be a motivator to do that. If you felt nothing, you would not move away from harm. So you must find your own balance. And again, we are calling on each and every one of you to become an expert, an absolute expert of your own inner world. And the only way to do it is to be a good observer and to allow. Now, let us address one more little thing in terms of law of attraction. It is true and accurate. When you vibrate in a certain frequency, you're going to encounter and attract other like frequency. So frequency that is similar to yours, that is resonating with your own. However, avoiding emotions that are unpleasant and covering them up is not vibrating with the frequency of wholeness and wellness. So it may feel at the moment that shopping feels better and more fun than sitting home and crying. However, going shopping and uplifting yourself that way without the awareness of what is really going on under the surface is not vibrating at a higher frequency. So there is, again, a misunderstanding here of what is positive and what is negative and what it means to attract positive or negative.
Thank you so much. That was a very, very clear and precise description of what is positive, what is negative, how to understand the difference between the two, and how there is so much misconception by, just reading about the law of attraction books and just the idea of completely ignoring the so-called negative parts of ourselves just because they're uncomfortable.
Absolutely. If we could replace uncomfortable, which is a great word, or unpleasant with negative, we feel it would create a more accurate picture conducive of accepting the whole spectrum of the human experience.
Thank you. But I really appreciate your deep wisdom and insight.
It is our very pleasure to engage with you in this way, and we know this is not the last time. We send you our love and our gratitude, and we bid you farewell.
Thank you. So, about your light language, is there any way for people to listen to your music, your light language channelings or transmissions online? Are they for sale or are they on Spotify? Do you have a playlist anywhere?
Yes, yes. So you can listen to them for free on YouTube and or Spotify. On YouTube is just my name, Yafi Yair. And on Spotify, it's Yafi Channeling, just like my website, yaffichanneling.com. And you can hear quite a few of them, actually. So I have several recordings. You can also purchase them for, I believe, only $4.44. You have to look at my website. You get a couple of them plus a surprise track that's not available anywhere else. So you can purchase them quite affordably and also listen for free on YouTube or Spotify.
That's amazing because I feel like that could be a great tool for meditation for a lot of people, just by playing in the background while meditating.
Absolutely. Believe it or not, I use it. It's kind of funny to listen to my own music, but it is channeled and I produce it. So it really doesn't feel to me like my music. And I use it. I use it for yoga, like to do gentle yoga, to connect to the breath and the energy. I love listening to the light language.
Oh, that's beautiful. Awesome. I might actually start using it for my Reiki sessions and workshops. This is beautiful. Yeah, I'm gonna get one of those CDs.
Oh, great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yafi, for being here today. I really enjoyed the conversation with Hathor and your light language transmission, and I'm sure that our audience is going to love this interview. I'm excited to share this video once I publish it on YouTube, and we'll probably talk again very soon on my channel.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure, and I'll see you in person soon and talk to you on your channel soon.
Thank you.